The year is 2350.
Frozen in a time and space divide.
The universe is in turmoil, plagued by tyranny, general incompetence, and the Martians. At the forefront of this intergalactic struggle stands the Galactic Protectorate, defenders of the universe. And at the top of this legion of heroic protectors stands one only Captain Star Johnson. But the show isn't named after him, so at a close but no cigar second fiddle is Captain Duck Dodgers. Frozen in ice like another heroic figure we all know, he has emerged as the world's most stalwart protector, always keeping the well-being of his world and associates in mind. Dodgers is such a heroic, charming, and law-abiding duck that even his greatest enemy, Queen Tyranny, can't help but recognize his deeds and natural prowess. With such a dynamic character, a motley crew of cast members, and a short runtime of 3 seasons, there's no way you could have a bad episode. Can you? Let's find out together as we search for the worst episode of Duck Dodgers. Duck Dodgers is a relatively short show with 39 episodes spanning 3 seasons, generally at 12 minutes a pop. Originally airing on Cartoon Network, the show is a welcome revival and extension of the 1953 short Duck Dodgers in the 24th and a half century. Most notably, the first episode is 3 times the length of the original, while still embodying the whimsical and over-the-top nature viewers experienced 50 years ago. Introducing the cast to the 50s short and more, the first episode highlights the escapades and excursions Duck Dodgers goes on an episodic basis, and also the sheer luck he has when escaping dire situations. What? Did you think he got out of these dangerous situations with skill and finesse? He clearly has some cosmic force tipping the scales in his favor, but that doesn't discount what he's accomplished.
Come to Papa.
Wow, that actually worked.
Remember all the praise I gave Duck Dodgers a few seconds ago? Well, a lot of the characters in his universe would disagree with all of it. While some like the Queen might argue he's a truly reverent icon with a high level of skill, most would consider Dodgers arrogant, greedy, gullible, unintelligent, cowardly, lazy, absent-minded, selfish, self-centered, and crude, which are all traits you'd want in your law-affiliated protagonists. And it's this appalling and commendably disgusting personality that truly drives the show, as anyone who interacts with Dodgers is affected for life, for better or, in most cases, for worse. Duck Dodgers is, in my honest film-watching opinion, a good show. Devoid of any plot structure or overarching storyline, it's a playground for writers and storyboarders to take any ideas they may have for an episode and run with them. With only 7 minutes of base material, the writers take a multitude of creative liberties in terms of story design. The show is riddled with crossovers, and each episode isn't necessarily connected to the previous or following ones. Introducing new characters to not see them ever again, except in a future reunion episode, is a creative move that the writers often and willingly make, which in my mind pays off. The show's all over the place, and for a cartoon intended for children yet appealing to adults, it's perfectly fine. The only consistency that exists within the show is the outlook the other characters have on Dodgers. This is the fuel that keeps the engine running. Honestly, there's no need to be consistent when you're essentially stretching a 1950s short in the name of intergalactic slapstick comedy. These are parts of Duck Dodgers and they all add up to a great show.
Way deep inside this monster's gullet, I'm gonna play.
Okay, I can talk about how good of a show Duck Dodgers is for quite some time, but that's only like half the point of this video. I like to dig up my old favorites and hook the viewers in with the worst episode, but talk about my love and adoration for the show as a whole before I get to the nitty gritty. Well, I'm done swooning, so here comes the second half. Most of the shows I've revisited for worst episode have been sandbox shows with no attention to plot or progression. They focus on humor, but not every show can have knee-slapping and lung-collapsing jokes all the time. Each episode can't be an Emmy-winning tearjerker talked about for decades after airing. There's no identifiable beginning, middle, or end to the show, so I can't really take a serious jab at setups and payoffs. Each is a different beast, forcing me to find little flaws in my favorite shows, but I don't let that stop me. All of this is my long-winded way of saying that I may not be completely wrong when I claim that Season 3 Episode 1 is the worst episode of Duck Dodgers. The crux of Season 3 Episode 1, aptly named Till Doom Do Us Part, is the search for an anchor and conflict to spark the show back into action. In the 50s, the short revolved around the conflict between Duck Dodgers of Earth and Marvin the Martian of Mars. This theme was kept through the TV adaptation, but was not really the forefront or driver of the show, if there ever was one. Despite this, in our show we're following the beginnings of a ceasefire between the two planets. The only underlying theme the show may have had has been removed from the picture. and any conflict that could happen, reasonably, shouldn't happen. So for a show that has no foreseeable ending, that seemed like a pretty good one. Yet the writers felt that that was not enough, and tapping into Dodger's whimsical nature and selfish desire, decided to form this new conflict. And while Dodgers was trying to get another war going, the real bad guys were trying to stir up a storm as well. This episode also served as a reminder of all the enemies Dodgers has faced in his 26-episode career. Here we are reintroduced to every major villain Dodgers has faced, and their reason for wanting to kill him, in case you've forgotten who they were. Which is cool, we love reunion episodes. Getting to see the Duck Dodgers version of beloved characters is a welcome part of the show. But that's only part of the episode. We also see X2 and the Queen begin wedding processions, following the love admittance from X2 in the previous episode. If there's anything I love to see in a show, it's pure, unbridled, passionate character development. So this is another welcome change. The problem this episode faces is that it tries to do too much in the first episode of the season. There are too many lines converging for us to make sense of. For a show that I think is good for its abstraction, the entirety of the episode seems too purposeful and ham-fisted, and only truly serves as a way to reset everything back to how it was before intergalactic peace. What I particularly love about Duck Dodgers is the independence each episode has. Yet, this episode seems to throw all the previous practices out of the window. It's more akin to a live-action sitcom where the showrunners write themselves into a corner after the climactic finish and spend the whole offseason figuring out how to fix everything that was changed, rinsing and repeating for 15 years. Hey, guy 1 and girl A got together, woohoo! But the show doesn't really work unless there's a tension between them, so we have to break them up. Boring! That's all I can think of with this episode. It's unlike any other and stands out in a way that's noticeably not as stellar. Dodgers is whimsical, the show's whimsical. There's no need to add structure to a sandbox show when it was fine without it. Duck Dodgers is a great show, I think I've made that clear. Till Doom Do Us Part was still enjoyable to watch, disregarding the aforementioned issues I had, and it still stand out when watching the rest of a season that's full of guest stars. If you ever have trouble remembering, it's the one where they go spelunking for no goddamn reason at all. It's fun and comforting with moments of intensity and deus ex machina, and it was probably intended for viewers with shorter attention spans. There's a little too much going on, a little too fast. In essence, it really is a great show, I can't say that enough, but this episode happened to be the worst of them. What are your best and worst of Duck Dodgers? If you said I see duck people, I might be inclined to agree with you. Literally nothing happens in that episode, but that might not be a bad thing. What do you think? We can try and dissect this animated piece of abstract art together. Drop your thoughts down in the comments, and for more videos like this, subscribe to Stone Club Soda and keep coming back for those uploads.